My name is John Scrooby. I represent a company in California that builds hard true clay courts and bocce courts. We also maintain those type of courts. Today we're in Yountville, California at the Veterans Memorial Park, and we're going to be rebuilding 4 championship size bocce courts, and we'll be talking about the different procedures that we use with the rebuilding of this type of court. Okay, here we are in the bocce courts. This court's 90 feet long, and you can see that it's got a lot of moss and algae. And this court was a decomposed granite base, 3 or 4 inches in thickness, and then they've topped it with oyster shell, which is a native product of California. And the oyster shell, it's a great plain surface, but it's also a great fertilizer. And so thus you see all of the moss and algae. The minute it starts raining, there's some shadow on the court, this moss and algae starts growing, and then the court looks like this at the end of the winter. Okay, here we are in the court surface. I'm just going to show you what's been happening here over the winter season here. Okay, now this is the moss and algae that's built up here. You can see that stuff is very thick, and then you can see that this is the oyster shell underneath, this kind of white product. And the moss and algae love the oyster shell. The oyster shell is a great fertilizer. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to scrape off the moss and algae first. Then we're going to take the oyster shell, we're going to scrape that back. We're going to get down to the decomposed granite, which is this kind of a yellowish brown product. So there's going to be a lot of material come off of the court. Got to do this all by hand so we don't take up too much of the decomposed granite. And then when we get the decomposed granite down to the base, we're going to regrade the decomposed granite, and then we're going to add a new topping, which is going to be red brick dust. This is the process of removing the oyster shell and the algae and the moss off of the decomposed granite. The court's fairly wet, so that comes off pretty easily. But there will be a lot of material generated that needs to be taken away. Now that we have the court lasered in, we're going to roll the court. We'll probably roll it dry, broom the court, roll it again maybe, and we'll water it really good, and we'll roll it 1 or 2 more times. Okay, now we're applying the red brick dust. Very thin layer. You can see kind of an orangey red material. This is how it came out of the sack. You just kind of sprinkle it on there. It really doesn't take too much to cover the court. And then when it rains or we water it with the hose, it kind of seals off the bottom part, kind of acts like a paste. This is a 1-fire brick, so it's got softness to it, and it loves the water. After we've applied the brick dust, now we're taking a 7-foot drag broom and brooming it to make it nice and smooth. We have just spent the last several days rebuilding these 4 bocce courts. It's mid-March. Now these courts are ready for a full season of play. If you own an organic type court, or if you're planning on building one, please factor in the yearly or the spring maintenance. Very important. You'd be very disappointed if you don't do that. My name is John Scrooby. I thank you for your time.